No one wants to suffer, at least. That's what we tell ourselves. But deep down, part of you needs it, that silent ache, that familiar anxiety. It's the only thing that makes the world feel real. You've built an identity around pain, dressed it up as passion, and called it purpose. Because somewhere along the way, you learned the most dangerous lesson of all. Suffering feels safe. So today, we're going to dissect the hidden reward your brain gets from misery and why you can't stop chasing what hurts you. Number 10, the familiar prison. Pain is uncomfortable, but it's predictable, and the human brain would rather live in predictable misery than face unpredictable peace. That's why you stay in jobs that drain you, relationships that suffocate you, habits that hurt you. They're familiar, and the brain worships familiarity. Every emotion, no matter how destructive, becomes a kind of home because at least you know where the walls are. Happiness, on the other hand, is chaos. It demands trust, openness, surrender, things your survival brain sees as danger. So you stay where it's safe. In the misery you can control, it's not weakness. It's a nervous system trying to protect you. By mistaking suffering for stability. Number 9, the chemical comfort zone. Misery isn't just emotional, it's chemical. Every time you replay a painful memory or dwell on regret, your brain releases stress hormones, and your body gets used to them. Cortisol becomes comfort, adrenaline becomes normal. You think you're anxious, but you're really just chemically homesick for the feeling of pain. It's addiction in disguise. Hysterization. That's why peace feels boring, because your brain isn't getting the hit it's used to. And like any addict, you'll unconsciously create conflict just to feel alive again. Your mind doesn't want chaos, it just wants chemistry. Number 8, the identity trap. At some point, pain stops being an event. It becomes an identity. You're not feeling miserable anymore. You're being miserable. You start saying things like, "That's just who I am. I've always been like this," as if suffering were a personality trait. But it's not identity, it's inertia. You've repeated the story so many times that your brain built its entire self around it. If you let go of misery, who are you? That's why healing feels like dying. Because a part of you actually does, the part that believes you're only valuable when you're hurting. And until that belief dies, you'll keep rewriting your pain into every chapter of your life. Number 7, the sympathy economy. Pain gets rewarded quietly, socially, and emotionally. You share your struggles online and get validation. You open up to friends and get comfort. The world applauds your suffering and calls it authenticity. But here's the paradox. The more sympathy you get, the more your brain links pain to connection. You start equating suffering with being seen. So even when you're doing fine, your subconscious whispers, "Maybe I should break again. People cared last time." You don't do it consciously, but your brain is tracking the metrics of misery. Because validation is a drug, and pain is its most reliable supplier. Number 6, the productivity of pain. We turn suffering into fuel, work through the pain, turn heartbreak into hustle, grind through the darkness. We made misery profitable. The system doesn't care if you're happy. It only cares that you're producing. So you learn to turn pain into output, songs, essays, startups, success. But when the pain fades, you lose your creative oxygen. That's when artists sabotage their peace to feel inspired again. That's when high achievers chase new problems just to feel alive. Because you were never taught how to build from joy, only how to build from struggle, and that's why you keep rebuilding yourself from ruin. Number 5, the control illusion. Suffering gives you a strange kind of power. When you're in pain, you feel like you know what's wrong. You have a villain to fight, a story to live inside. But peace feels empty. It offers no script, no urgency, no enemy. So you cling to the problems that define you. Because at least they give your life direction. You confuse pain with purpose and chaos with control. Because deep down, it's easier to manage misery than to face the uncertainty of freedom. Number 4, the masochism of meaning. Humans crave meaning. not comfort. And pain is meaning's loudest translator. We believe suffering purifies us, strengthens us, reveals truth. That's why people stay in toxic situations and call it character building. Why we glorify the grind and romanticize tragedy. The brain interprets pain as proof of importance. If it hurts this much, it must matter. But sometimes, pain is just pain. It's not a teacher, it's a habit. And until you separate meaning from misery, you'll keep mistaking endurance for enlightenment. Number 3, the mirror of misery. Misery is honest, brutally so. When you're in pain, you see things clearly. Who stays, who comes sometimes, who leaves, what you're made of. That clarity feels real in a way happiness never does. Because happiness fades quietly, but suffering demands your full attention. It gives life texture, something to push against. And that's why some people unconsciously seek misery, because they associate clarity with pain and comfort with blindness. They don't trust peace. It feels like ignorance. But in truth, misery doesn't make you wise. It just keeps your eyes open so wide, you forget how to rest them. Number 2, the emotional echo. Even when the pain ends, the echo remains. Your nervous system keeps expecting the next blow. Your muscles stay tense for an enemy that's no longer there. So you find new battles, small ones, daily ones. You turn discomfort into identity maintenance. Because without pain, the silence feels wrong. Your body becomes an echo chamber of old emotions. Sadness reverberating against walls you never learned to tear down. Healing feels foreign because peace has no instructions. And without struggle, your brain asks the most terrifying question of all. What now? Number 1, here's the real secret. Misery works. It keeps you alert. It earns you empathy. It gives you something to fix, something to fight, something to prove. It gives you identity. But that's also why it's poison. Because the reward isn't peace. It's distraction. It keeps you busy avoiding the stillness where real healing happens. And yet, that's where freedom lives. Not in the struggle, not in the achievement, but in the terrifying quiet of enough. You'll never stop suffering by escaping it. You stop by realizing there's nothing left to earn. The reward was never in the pain. It was in learning you didn't need it. You've spent your whole life trying to earn happiness. But maybe it's not something to earn. Maybe it's what's left when you stop negotiating with your pain. The next time your brain whispers, maybe I deserve this suffering, whisper back, no. I just got used to it. Because the moment misery stops feeling familiar, that's when healing begins. Subscribe to Hidden Reflex, where we don't teach you how to escape your darkness, but how to understand it until it loses its power.